and after that we'll return to our guest house at Lambert's Bay.
So we are back to the Lambert's Bay Birds Island Nature Reserve for the second time because the Gannets colony is facing the west, so filming in the morning would be a much better option. And you can see Francois has set up a tripod, and there are still at least a couple of dozens of Gannets there.
Okay, it's still quite cold here, as you can see. Not smoking, but that's the difference in temperature. Okay, let's see if we can get with these Gannets. Now I'm looking at two juveniles now, the speckled ones, grooming themselves. Just a little bit further, you can see lots of adults. Some interaction there between them as well. There's some serious interaction there between an adult and a juvenile. I wonder what that's all about. Look at that, look at that. Maybe they're feeding. Usually when they point up like that with their heads, it means they're going to fly, but I don't think it's going to happen in this case. In the background you can hear lots of these kelp gulls, and these gannets seem to enjoy the sun this morning. Over there you can see a juvenile kelp gull next to an adult, so you can clearly see the difference.
You can see there's a red spot on his beak. And according to the signboard, the red spot is for the young to hit on, so the adult knows that they are hungry and they will feed them. It's an interesting design in nature that, yeah, it's like a feeding button basically.
On that rock over there you can see quite a big congregation of cormorants. Quite a contrast there, black plumage to the white of the gannets. But they live in close proximity. The rock is probably about 20 or 30 meters from the sands where you see all of these gannets. And there's some kelp gulls. And then you don't need to look too far. Oh, there's a kelp gull eating something. Juvenile there. And you can see all the kelp. So quite an appropriate name for these gulls. And usually, of course, where I'm focusing now, you'd see lots of gannets, but you can still see some of them there. Of course, a lot of juveniles, they still need to learn how to fly properly. Wonder how many of them would survive and be back here next year. That kelp gun is checking out proceedings. And there you can still see a bunch of these gannets. Seems like 3 pairs. Perhaps it's their little one there, sitting in front of them. And that one is in quite an unusual position. And there's one on a nest still, so remarkable. Even at this time in late May, perhaps it's going to be a very late chick hatching in late May or early June. Some of these gannets returning now. Presumably they went fishing to feed their young, and I've just been told by one of the staff from Cape Nature, a young man called Jermaine, that these gannets can fly up to 250 kilometers in search for food. That's 250 kilometers one way, so that's a 500 kilometer round trip they sometimes do. And they've of course monitored this because they tag them, and then they can see how far they fly. So imagine flying 250 kilometers with food in your stomach, because they swallow the fish whole, and then when they come back here they have to regurgitate the food to feed to the young. And of course up there you can see some of the juveniles, and they fly from the island. They can fly up to 3,000 kilometers to migrate. There's one that just landed, so let's see if this one is going to do any feeding. Now, as I was saying, they fly up to 3,000 kilometers for a migratory pass, and that takes about 6 weeks. And in between, of course, they would stop on islands to take breaks. They cannot fly non-stop, of course, for a month and a half. But earlier I said I wonder who flew further. Now, of course, it's confirmed. Our flight from Hong Kong was much further away than these gannets migrate, but of course they don't have engines. Really remarkable what these birds can do. Now, the kelp gulls that you saw earlier, they are also a nuisance to these gannets because they can steal their eggs, and the folks from Cape Nature are doing their best to minimize that, and they can get that down to below 100 a year, which I think that's astonishing if you see the number of kelp gulls here. Now, the kelp gulls, they would eat anything, like some people in our church. They eat mussels, fish, but also eggs of other birds. And some of these gannets, they may still try and sit on a nest at this time. I've seen one earlier sitting on a nest, but Jermaine told me that egg is not going to hatch. It's too late in the year. So that's rather sad, but as he said, that is nature, and that is part of course, the condition of our world. It's a fallen world. It's far from perfect, but we can look forward to one day when it's restored to perfection again. You can see this Gannet circling here, and apparently that's to show the others he's landing. They each have their own spot, and they like to keep a distance, I guess, between themselves, the pairs and other pairs. So this one is circling, notifying the others that it's intending to land. This one's coming very close now. There we go, it's still circling. Getting very close to the camera as well. Maybe he's checking me out. As it's getting later in the morning, more and more birds are leaving, but they'll probably be back tonight again. Not sure when they'll be ready to undertake this long flight of migration. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, there are other species inhabiting this island as well. And seals caused a significant problem back in 2006 when they ate these birds' eggs, and as a result the gannets left for 6 months during the time when they were supposed to be here, and that led to a loss of 5 million rand in tourist income. And there was some intervention then to try and help the gannets to create a more friendly environment for them to breed. But other problems are also there for the gannets, like in the summer it can get so hot that the eggs will overheat, and of course then the adults will abandon the eggs, so they can never hatch. But this year the winter came early, so they left earlier than expected. So all sorts of things that these birds have to deal with, heat and cold and predators, something that they won't have to deal with once the earth is restored and the curse of sin is no longer there. But still amazing to observe them from up close and to appreciate the wonders of God's creation. Nothing to do, as popular media would want us to believe, with evolution. Of course there is what they call microevolution, perhaps better described as adaptation, where species can adapt and that will lead to certain change, but you won't see one of these gannets change into a giraffe or an elephant. It doesn't matter how much time you allow. One species cannot change to another one, although if you look at the juvenile it almost looks like a different species, but it's simply different plumage, and then it will grow into an adult. I'm not sure if it's going to land or it's going out to the sea to get some fish. But it was quite an experience to have close encounters with these beautiful gannets and the other birds on this island, the cormorants, the kelp gulls, and even the little birds. But as you can see, it's mostly empty now. Most of the gannets already departed. Some, like this one, are still waiting for the right time to start a long migratory route of 3,000 kilometers. They'll be back here later this year. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for us. That one's taking off, but I'm pretty sure it'll be back. So goodbye to the gannets. I hope to see you again sometime in the future.